I think we're on. Ladies and gentlemen, people who are watching this video, I am very excited to introduce you to uh, Chief Jesta. We call him Jesta. He's
Yeah.
one of my good friends from Los Angeles. He's someone that has been instrumental on the music side of this project, and just helping us learn about the underground electronic music culture of Los Angeles. And so just I may be missing a few titles here, but you're like obviously you're an electronic music producer, but you're also a filmmaker, and there may be a few other titles that I'm missing, but I think those are the two that stand out in like just my knowledge of you. So thank you so much for joining me today in this interview.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the best average to sum me up for sure. Yeah.
Okay, great. So how's life in Los Angeles these days?
It's good. Things, life post-COVID here actually slightly kind of reverted back to some level of normalcy. So yeah, so there was a string of gigs kind of picking back up over the last year for music. Concerts are happening again, which is great. And people are, conducting them pretty safely enough to have them keep happening still. So yeah, it's been pretty cool that there's been like a middle ground that we've been able to find with safely throwing events at this time. Me personally, I haven't thrown an event yet. I'm actually planning to do my next one in January. So I kind of wanted the clean slate of just this next coming year, but yeah, things in Los Angeles are pretty productive. A huge tell of that is traffic being terrible. If traffic's terrible again, then everyone's out doing something. So yeah.
I always find it slightly funny. I think it's just funny to me that people in LA complain about traffic because, again, like, hailing from India over here, I feel like LA traffic isn't all that bad. At least people drive in, their lanes. They don't, even if they're switching lanes, they'll be 95% be nice and give you an indicator and then switch lanes.
I have another friend that's actually from India, and she lives in San Diego, and she was in town, and she was in LA over the weekend, and she was trying to see if we can make plans. And I was like informing that I was like stuck in dead stop traffic leaving the desert from visiting family for Thanksgiving. And she's like, "Oh yeah, in India we just call dead stop traffic because that's all it is. It's just dead stop." I'm like, "Oh wow, yeah, I guess we have some luxury here of having some open freeways at times."
Well, that's great. So I'm glad that events have started back again, because as you being a performer and an artist, and it's important that events start again. Although there was like this phase of virtual events and live streams. Did you enjoy any of that?
At the very beginning, yeah, I think there over time there became a level of like fatigue, because just like anytime you like looked at the internet, it was just like you're just being bombarded by people's live streams. But at first it was cool because we were like, wow, at least there's even this option. It's cool that we can depend on technology in this way. And it was kind of beautiful, and it was really cool to see the support coming through the internet for the DJ culture, because DJing and going on a dance floor is such a personal connection for everyone involved in that. Like it's about that dance floor. It's dance music, it's meant to be experienced on an amplified sound system. But when people are just in their houses and playing it off the little tiny speakers, it's like you don't really get that full sensory connection the same way you do on a dance floor in front of a speaker, where you can feel the music and you're feeling that connected with that moment and that DJ, etc. So yeah, I think there was like a level of support at the beginning, and then we all just kind of like had some fatigue, but it's cool. It showed people how they can utilize the platform in a new way, and it was really cool to see a lot of people embracing it and like really just having fun with it, which at the end of the day is what's important too.
Yeah, I think the physical world, nothing beats the physical world, and just feeling everybody's energy in the physical world is definitely like I guess the best way to enjoy dance music, electronic dance music. But the virtual world is evolving, and I'm hopeful that the future events will be even more immersive, if you will. But
Right.
tell me about Moon Tribe. Is it back on again? Is the Moon Tribe community having the
Yep.
gatherings again? Okay,
Yep.
great.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything's been safe and sound. We've had a couple over the last few months. We're doing actually one more in December. Um, they've been great. Yeah, they've been really good. We used the COVID era as a chance to kind of reset our email list. So, and when we did that, the council was pretty adamant on implying another extra layer of intention into the way they interface with the community, and the patrons coming out to the desert. So uh, there was a lot of more screening people in terms of like what intentions they're bringing out, and just even the having guests reflect on that, it really evoked them to really actually dwell on like that for themselves and actually stop and ask themselves, because they hadn't yet maybe thought to in some cases. And so by even just having everyone stop to even think about that question, like what intentions are you bringing out here, it really did help people formulate like, damn, why am I actually here? And that added a level of groundedness that we hadn't seen in a while. And so yeah, just like extra care and intent into the way our like door staff would interface with people coming out. And it was just amazing to see this energy shift over the last year, and like a reduction of like harm problems, like just less drama, less people not taking care of
Yeah.
themselves. So yeah, just more care and compassion and intention.
Th-
uh
That's
yeah.
that's definitely like something that I would want to highlight right now, that Moon Tribe, Moon Tribe was my first like full moon gathering,
Mhm.
if you will, right? And I
Mhm.
think one of the reasons why I enjoyed it the most, I was introduced to Moon Tribe through Rasik,
Yeah.
music director of Feel the Flow. And so he had sort of prepped me up for the gathering, and he
Mhm.
told me like, hey, it's a really great group of people, it's a full moon party, you're going to have a great time. And that idea of setting good intentions and partying with a purpose, like I'm going to steal your lines here once again, but I think is great, because it definitely puts people in, it grounds people, like you said. And that's something, I'll be honest, I will try my best to emulate with an event called Stop at Zero, that Spice Tech is going to be doing, both in the physical world as well the metaverse on the internet. And that's something I would love to tell you more about later, but let's focus on Moon Tribe for a second. So, I mean, that was the ethos and the intentions with which people came to the gathering. I mean, given it's like sometimes things can get out of control because there's a lot of people, and few things going right are bound to happen in, just like in any other event. But
Yeah.
largely, like the feelings of living in love, that one message, I think, basically was the glue between the people in the community. Tell us more about living in love, if you can, please.
Oh yeah. Well, that definitely is like Dela's trademark. That's her core foundation of every day of her life. And uh it's it's really amazing that those three words have grounded this community, this family, for about almost 30 years now. And it's not like Moon Tribe's the only culture to embrace that ethos, but they do it with so much grace. And yeah, it's really I pinch myself every day, like understanding that I'm even a part of that vision and that love and that community. um yeah, I don't know what more to say on that. That's a question for Dela to ask. Pick Dela's
Okay.
brain about that. she
Okay.
she loves she loves that. It's like her, that's like her trademark, hands down.
She's in Colombia right now, so I
She
think
is.
she's going to be back on the 7th. So we're supposed to speak to her after the 7th. So I'll definitely add this in my notes for that interview. I think, I mean, we're gonna be talking about Moon Tribe in some capacity, I'm sure, in the film as well. But let's talk about for the people who will be watching this interview, like your style of electronic music, because obviously, like you're right, even right now, you're wearing a drum and bass T-shirt, so that makes it very drum and bass. For people who would be watching, especially like my mom and dad, if you will, right? How would you describe, psychedelic electronic music?
Right. Well, when it's foreign to your ear, it can at first sound pretty jarring, and there's definitely a level of it that can be intimidating at first, and you might question, like, why do people listen to this? This isn't music, or like X, Y, and Z. But it's interesting how a lot of electronic music isn't strictly melody driven. A lot of it is technical, like the way the sound is, the architecture of the sound design and the rhythm. Techno, for example, the hypnotic pull techno has of being so repetitive is this other level of a grounding force. It really brings you present to this moment and onto this plane, to this earth, with the beat of that drum and with the repetition of you moving to it, you pumping your chi, your life energy, to this rhythm that you can feel nonetheless, especially on a dance floor with amplified sound. And then the sound design, the soundscapes, they pull you into almost another dimension that really is where people kind of connect to, not kind of, like, do connect to spirit. I know for myself, when I'm totally lost in the polyrhythms of techno or drum and bass, and the sound design is just so captivating, because it audibly feels like it's building this immersive extra dimension around you. And it's almost as if everything, once you're really feeling it, everything else around you can just slip away in that moment. And then it's just you and the stars in that moment. And that's what it's about. It's that level of connecting to, like, the God or the stars or whatever the greater power is for you, the great spirits. It's like that's the connection right there. Because I truly believe music is the universal language, at least frequency to some degree. Everything has a resonance, so it's been a foundation in humanity since the beginning. I think for a reason, people have been connecting to spirit through music since the dawn of time. So it's a really powerful thing. Some people go to church, others go to a dance floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dance floor is the church for some, that is for sure.
Or both.
Or both, absolutely. Or both, why not?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think I really enjoyed listening to that answer, by the way, just so you know. I'm gonna think about it a little bit more and refine my own thinking about that, because it's very difficult to describe that experience that you just articulated through words, but I think you did a phenomenal job.
Right. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and so I suppose, let's talk about a little bit about, just for people who are watching, what's fascinating about Jesta's story is that, just like many other artists who will be featuring in this film and whose work will be featured in this film, he's not only an artist, as he's also an entrepreneur, although sometimes I feel like they're kind of like the same thing, because both trying to express something that they believe in, and they're just manifesting a vision that they hold close in their heart. But you obviously are a founder of a record label called Noise Revolt. And now the music stuff is obviously there. We're gonna tell people more about your techno music, the drum and bass music, the jungle music. There's so many things that we could talk about on your music side, which is phenomenal.
Mhm.
But you're also
Yeah.
exploring yourself as a filmmaker lately, right?
Yeah, well, funny enough, not even just lately. That was my life actually before I started DJing. I actually started DJing primarily because I had to drop out of my film school. I got into like my dream college, my dream film school, and financial means like kind of forced me to pull out of it. Um, but I've been living a creative life my entire life. I went to an art high school. I've just been creating since I was writing scripts at the age of like 8, drawing comic books like around the same time and so on. And so I've just always been really creative. And but yeah, I ended up needing a community because I lost access to the community. The creative community I was a part of, and I wasn't someone who's just going to sit on my butt and like kind of like let that blow past me. I'm like, I'm going to get back out there and I'm going to go find another creative community. I'm going to build another one that I can collaborate with in a way that we can all codepend on each other to create something together. So let me formulate this answer a little bit more. Yeah, so my film ambitions have been there since I was a kid. But then, the call to start producing these events and build Noise Revolt became more important. And it was becoming successful enough that I could really pour my all into it. And that's what it took at the very beginning. For the first couple of years, it took everyone involved just giving it their all to make this platform happen. And I was hopeful it would be successful for everybody. And also, while building this platform, this community, that actually gave me another platform to implement my film making skills. I would film all of our own events and do all the recap videos. So it was really cool how like my film knowledge and skills still kind of like cross-pollinated into what we were doing in the music industry and the rave scene essentially.
Yeah.
And now after like a pretty busy couple of years we had, we ran our own warehouse studio event center for 3 years, and then COVID happened, so it kind of gave me a good excuse to kind of switch gears.
Yeah.
And also like, we started Noise Revolt to inspire people to get out there and believe that they can do anything together. And we envisioned this version of the world or society where everyone would co-creating these platforms together. But our long-term vision as Noise Revolt was to be successful enough here building the formula of that level of community building and help expedite it around the world to places that need it, which is actually why what you're doing is like really coincidentally amazing. And like our hope initially was to like inspire tons of people around the world like you to do exactly what you're doing in places that don't yet have this level of community, or this community at least influencing this level of creativity and inspiration to motivate change in people's lives and empower people to really pursue what their inner calling is. I just don't feel like every community around the world has that level of influence to empower themselves to fulfill the life they want to live. And so you got a lot of people around the world not living the lives that they'd like to, and it creates a lot of tension and unease, and like I think a lot of problems in society spawn from people who are unhappy with themselves, and a lot of people are unhappy with themselves because life like in some cases shaped a lot of people's directions in directions they didn't want to go in. So if we could like empower everyone to just like be themselves, and empower like the creative potential within each other, we can motivate a way healthier society in the long run. So anyways, so yeah, so now here at this point in 2021, we kind of feel like, at least here in Los Angeles, like we kind of feel like our work is done. Like there's a lot of people now who are forming collectives, like everyone's DJing now, like everyone's becoming a DJ. This is great. We're like, wow, okay, it happened. Everyone is getting out there and doing it. Everyone's creating creating a label. Like there is a lot of momentum here with the community. So it kind of feels like we don't need to try to go back to what we were doing 5 or 6 years ago and try to influence people in Los Angeles to do that. So we've all taken this moment to go back and work on ourselves. And that's how I'm switching gears to my film ambitions right now. I finally have a chance to not be running month to month from one event to another event. I have time now to actually really get to the nitty gritty of what it takes to get some filmmaking done, or finish music that I've been working on, things like that. Yeah, I'm kind of losing track of myself here.
Yeah, no, I think I didn't want to interrupt you because for this entire week, I've been struggling to sort of very articulately explain the central thesis of this film. And I think you just did that for me in the last
I don't know.
few minutes. You totally did. Right. And so, I mean, that's one of the things that I greatly admire and appreciate about you is just, your focus on the power of community and everything that, you envisioned for Noise Revolt. And I think maybe it's just the mycelium network that is guiding us all.
Right.
To
see that's the beauty of feeling inspired and then trying to share that inspiration, because it'd be amazing. Like, who knows back where you are, who's going to see this and maybe share it with somebody in another country, and then maybe they want to come check out what you got going on, and they come out and they get inspired, and then they're all going to take it back to wherever they're from. And then, we're just throwing out that pollination more, you know what I mean? Just getting the vibe further out there. And like, that's what it's about. Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm definitely with you on that. I'm so glad that we got a chance to just sort of serendipitously capture the essence of Noise Report and the vision you and your community have held in your head through this interview. So a win right there for us.
Okay.
and so I'm really excited to actually, well, before we move on, I'm fascinated by the videos you're making with the cyberpunk Wild West project that's going on, because like I said, maybe it's the mycelium network and I'm a dreamer. And so, Feel the Flow is a project that we love and we want to get to final cut. But we talk about what are we going to do after Feel the Flow, just as a way to like take a break from Feel the Flow talks. And one of the projects that get discussed a lot is like a curry Western sci-fi. So it's like, it's like, what happens if like, like a Indian Western Sholay, give Sholay a shout out. It's a famous Indian Western film. I'll send you a link.
Let me check it out.
Yeah. So like, what if Sholay met Westworld? So maybe, I don't know. We'll keep dreaming and we'll keep on flowing, and maybe we'll get to a curry Western sci-fi project after this.
That sounds fun. Yeah.
And so if so basically. Love the visuals of the wild. What do you call it again? The wild.
While the West remain wild.
And your character.
I was going for. I'm really inspired by classic spaghetti Western films, obviously, and they always have this like, these really cool like book sounding titles, where like How the West Was Won, Once Upon a Time in the West, like for a fistful of dollars. There's all these like these really cool classic ways that they like staged these like long names. And so While the West Remain Wild was mine, and it's kind of because there's really no beginning and no true end to the story that I tell. So it's just like the idea of this feel being this continuous pocket in time. And so I started writing that in 2011. I often, when I get inspired for a plot line, it stems from like me just listening to one song. I hear this one song and then I just get this like rush of vision, and it's almost like I'm watching the trailer for the movie in my head while I'm hearing the song. And then I like kind of dissect it afterwards and like pick it apart and then formulate a story around it after that, after just like seeing this like a couple like shots in my head of what's happening. And anyways, so at the time, that was also like right around the time that I had to drop out of school, out of film school. I was kind of like lost at that moment. I was pretty young and just kind of like slightly mad at the world for that, like that circumstance of just being like, I'm talented. I got into my dream school, but I can't go because I can't afford it. This is whack. And it was also right around then that the Arab Spring was happening. And I grew up a World War II nerd. And so I've always just been kind of like keeping tabs on like what global conflicts are happening at the time. And the US has just inflicted so much chaos into the Middle East. And these Cold War tensions have been on the rise for years between Iran and China and Russia. And so I created this kind of whole catastrophe scenario that World War III would happen here one day on US soil. And so, but the story isn't about World War III. It's years after World War III. Nobody wins, but like there's an international community of people on US soil because every country came here to fight. And then there's also a bunch of nations that immigrated over here as well. So there's a refugee crisis here, and sorry, I gotta turn my phone off. And there's a garbage truck outside. My apologies.
No worries.
Yeah. So there's just the setup is supposed to be that in this nuclear wasteland, there's an international demographic of people left there. Some of them are warring. Some of them are just trying to survive these really harsh conditions. And I'm not going to explain the whole movie, the whole story now, but essentially, indigenous people work with a lot of adversaries along the way and end up using plant medicine or psychedelics.
Interesting.
So indigenous plant medicine to help like find a common ground between people who live in different realities and aren't seeing eye to eye. So, people from all different sides of this war, and neutralize these tensions through a level of groundedness that a lot of these people haven't experienced before. So yeah, it's a Wild West story of bounty hunters and militias and gangs and then just like shepherds trying to survive this crazy wasteland. But then there's sparks of hope of how people can actually come together to maybe turn things around for the future of Earth. Wow. So yeah, it's going to be a fun, somewhat action story, but there's also like a deep level of like love and concern for the future of society. And so we'd like to implement healing through the use of plant medicine and psychedelics. Yeah. So it gets really psychedelic. It's a psychedelic cyberpunk Western.
I think you're onto something special here. I just, your passion is very obvious when you're trying to explain this. If you don't mind, and if it's okay with you, we'd love to throw a little B-roll of the trailer you've made as part of this interview. You can just send it over to me and I can slap it on, right? For the next few moments, I want to request you to drop
Yeah.
into your flow state to the best of your ability,
Mhm.
and have no inhibitions, no fear whatsoever. And
Okay.
I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to make everyone that I'm going to interview go through this question. So I'm going to ask you a question, and whatever stream of thoughts come to you, please answer me uh,
Okay.
uh, with with all your love, I suppose. So
Okay.
the question is, Jesta, if
Mhm.
you had no fear whatsoever,
Mhm.
which dream would you turn into reality?
Oh, which dream would I turn into a reality if I had no fear? Well, I think fear might even be something subconsciously holding me back now, because honestly, the Western is my like my number one goal right now in life. Like I'm not gonna let myself die until that's done. You know what I mean? Um, and so, but it takes like an enormous amount of commitment and time and attention. And I think uh, the level of fear that I might have now. Sorry, this thing is super loud.
Don't worry about
Um,
it. We're good.
uh, might be me holding myself back from becoming the director I'm gonna need to be to make this happen. You know, so like I need to own this vision, and I need to own this whole effort. And I'm just kind of out of practice with directing like a major production, a major team on film. Like I've been producing and managing events and stuff, which is similar in some ways, but you know, if this actually ramps up to getting like, you know, a bunch of money behind it, and like I actually end up on location with a whole cast and crew and etc. uh you know, I haven't seen that version of myself in years, or even in this magnitude ever. So I just I fear not being able to be the director I need to be, and be the confident voice that's gonna motivate people to make this project happen the way it needs to. So yeah, so it's been like a nervous process stepping into that for myself. Um, but when you believe something is your destiny, you know, you find a way and you breathe through the moments as they come. Um, and so, you know, as I get closer to what I think will be that time, I feel more nervous, and I guess that's the level of fear that I have. But I'm so passionate about it. You know, I'm also I'm cautiously optimistic. And you know, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be the person I need to be to get this done. I just need to not distract myself too much along the way, or um, make sure I act on every opportunity to push the project forward. Um, yeah, sometimes I think maybe like I'm not as committed to making things happen right away, and then, you know, next thing I'll know, it's going to be like a few years down the road and I'm still like in pre-production. So I can't like let myself slip. I need to not be afraid to make decisions now. Like no, we got to do this now. We
Yeah.
got to go, you know. Yeah, like I got invited out to shoot this post-apocalyptic photo meetup out in Bombay Beach in the Salton Sea. It's pretty
Uh-huh.
far out there. Um, and no excuses to not. You got to do it. You know, it's like, oh, that's happening. I guess I got to pack all my stuff and we got to go out there and film now. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm just trying to embrace now every opportunity to push productivity on this project. And yeah, so I just really fear not keeping it together. I would say, because this
I
thing is so important to me. So yeah.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
If I, as a friend, if I can say something in this moment, is
Yeah.
I love the trailer you've made. I love the plot that you just shared. Your music is unique. For someone like me, is unique. I love it,
Oh, thank you.
right? And
Thank you.
and and I can guarantee you that the Spice Tech crew, if you happen to talk to anyone about this project in the Spice Tech crew, I think you'll get a lot of positive exchange of energy from them about this. And we obviously like feel you about the nervousness, because like I'm going through that for the past 2 years. I feel the
Yeah.
same exact way, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, but on the positive side of things, this is what I wanted to tell you in this moment. So thank you for sharing that answer.
Yeah.
And then, we can move into the final segment of this interview.
Okay.
And if you could be so kind to just share with the world through this interview some of your reasons behind supporting this film project. And if you could
Yeah.
please request them to donate to our crowdfunding campaign, I would greatly
Yeah.
appreciate
Absolutely. Yeah. I believe anyone watching this should support Spice Tech in this project and donate to this campaign. Because as I was explaining, the efforts of any community trying to just evoke creativity and compassion and inspiration, um, you know, communities that are trying to empower you to just be yourself and do anything you believe you can do, I think is one of the most important things in our time right now. Especially with now all the mental fatigue that people have potentially post-COVID. A lot of people need this right now, need this level of uplifting and empowering community. Um, I think it's important on any part of this earth to have access to that. And there's probably a lot of places on earth, maybe near where you live, that don't have the level of creativity or access to the kind of community that you're seeing in this project. And we don't want that to be exclusive to Los Angeles or exclusive to just a specific like dense populated city in the world. Like we want that to be accessible for everybody, because I think what's going to push a more prosperous future for humanity is everyone fulfilling their dreams and doing it with their friends and loved ones. And yeah, so it's going to take communities like Spice Tech to spread that seed of inspiration, because it's going to take a lot of us around the world to make it happen together. So it's not just one crew. It's not a one-man team's mission. It's a communal mission. So yeah, please support Spice Tech, and envision a creative community unfolding before you, to give you the opportunities to do really amazing things with amazing people. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jesta. I greatly appreciate your time today. I will obviously stay in touch. Just for the tech gods being kind on us, I'm going to end this Zoom right away so that we can save the file. But I'll
Yeah.
DM you, and like greatly, like my heart is so full right now speaking with you. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
speaking with you today.
I'm sorry about the confusion on the timing of the day. My bad.
No worries, not at all. We'll stay in touch, and
Yeah.
I look forward to our next meeting already.
All right. I look forward to it too. Keep it up, man. You're doing great.
Thank you,
Appreciate
brother.
you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.